We're renovating this Victorian terraced house, which has involved digging out the basement and the garden to put in a new driveway. We found some pretty interesting things along the way, including one in particular which could be quite valuable. First up, we've got England's Glory S.J. Moreland and Sons matchbox. S.J. Moreland is a chap called Samuel John Moreland. Looks like he began making matches in 1867. The company closed in 1976, mass producing matches throughout that whole period, widely used and extensively during the Second World War, which is where I think these ones probably age from. Interestingly, the cost of these in today's money was around 30 pence to a pound, but 1.5 pence in old money. Sticking on the same theme then, we've got this, Wild Woodbine cigarettes. W.D. Howells, Bristol and London. So I've managed to find a little bit more information on these. Looks like these again were common pre and inter-war, especially amongst soldiers. These date roughly between 1920s and early 1930s, so quite a bit earlier than the matches. Again, less information available on these compared to the matches. Estimated cost at the time was about 10 pence. So quite a bit more expensive than the matches, as you'd expect. Okay, something a bit different. I found this. It's quite small, but it's ceramic, and it looks like the tip of a boot. Again, can't find an awful lot on it. Research suggests that it's probably 1850 to 1900, and that it's been broken off something else, but we probably worked it out on our own. It does say that it's likely this old Victorian household rubbish that's been buried in the garden, and that would make sense because it was found when we dug the garden out, so that aligns. Next up then, we've got a couple of stamps. So this is actually a penny red stamp, which was the main British postage stamp between 1841 and 1879. From what I can tell, the one we have is dated between 1850 and 1864. They used to have stars in the top left and right hand corners, and now, between that period rather, they had letters. This one's from Canada. All I could really find on this Canadian stamp was a rough date, so somewhere between 1960 and 1970. It was the standard stamp in use at that time. The 4 suggests that it was 4 cents in cost, and that's about all I can find. These were all found actually in the master bedroom as we ripped out one of the little storage cupboards on the side. They'd obviously fallen down the back, maybe part of a bigger collection that one of the previous occupants had, one of the previous owners had. So this one from Australia dates from around 1960. It's got a scarlet robin on the front. And again, it's the standard stamp used at the time for inland letters, which again suggests that it wasn't sent to the UK, but actually used within Australia. And last stamp for this little collection. So this stamp is actually from the state of Malacca in the country of Malaya from the early 1950s when it was under British rule, which then became Federation of Malaya in 1957, and then as we know it today became Malaysia in 1963. Next up, we've got a bit of a collection. We've got some pretty cool, put this down here for a minute, pretty cool keys. Again, I just assume these were all original keys for the house. That was quite cool. It's got a bit of a pattern to it. It's actually got a right bend on that one as well. And it's got a hole in the end. Same again, slightly smaller. Again, hole in the end. And then last light, again, something a little bit different. Super simple. Back in the day, it did the same job. So yeah, collection set of five keys. We have tried them around the house. They don't fit any of the current locks. I'm assuming these are probably in the realms of, I don't know, 50 to 80 years old. See what we can find out. Next up then, got this. This was found in the driveway, I think, if I remember rightly. So it looks like this was likely a perfume or vanity bottle dating from around 1930 to 1960 from what my research suggests. It deliberately had a small neck at the top, as you can see, and that was for a stopper. And the ribbed onion-like shape was popular because it was easy to grip, but also it looked decorative on a dressing table. Sticking on the same theme, not giving this one a clean clearly. So this one's not quite so interesting. It's an old Orangina bottle. It says Orangina du Pulp on the bottle, so very clearly identified. It's obviously an older bottle, you know, older than the type of bottle they use these days. Looks like it's from about 1970, so nothing interesting, but quite a cool blast from the past. Same theme. We got ourselves a little bottle. This is most certainly some kind of alcoholic drink. So this bottle, while it doesn't look like much, and I just thought it was a bit rubbish to be honest, it's actually a medicine bottle or a chemist's product bottle, and it dates from sort of 1880 to 1900, so quite a bit older than some of the other stuff we've seen. The flat sides were designed for labels, and it was this shape so that it was easy to store in cabinets in the bathroom. So this little bottle was again found under the driveway. It was almost like they were dumping rubbish there. So this is an old beer bottle from about the 1950s, that kind of age. Again, nothing super rare, but quite interesting. Last bottle then is a big bad boy. No label. It does say around the bottom, this bottle is the property of Thomas and Evans Limited. So again, something to go off there. Let me do a bit of digging, see what we can find. So the markings on the bottom of this bottle are most certainly the giveaway here. So this looks like it was definitely some kind of soft drink inside, soda, water, lemonade. And the company was based in South Wales. The likely time period for this is between 1920 and 1950. And the reason it had the markings on the bottom of the bottle are because you returned it back to the shop that you bought it, and you got a small amount of money back to go towards the next bottle so that it could be reused by the company. I've got this. This little piece was actually found in the basement, and it's obviously a little glass stopper. It's not for the bottles, it's not for the bottles that we've already found. Unfortunately, it's actually quite a bit smaller. So this one might have been for, again, a smaller perfume bottle perhaps, or maybe even a small decanter, but it would have to be particularly small. Looks like the age is about 1900, so you know, right in the Victorian era there. So it's quite old. Probably the most exciting, or certainly I was excited, is this. This was actually found in the basement when we dug the floor out. And again, a video to come on that. But you can imagine when I pulled this out of the ground in the realms of a very dirty and wet basement, this glinting thing was just poking out. So I went over, picked it up and washed it off, got super excited, came and showed Roxy. And we don't think they're diamonds. In fact, we're almost certain. So what this actually is then is a circular buckle or brooch. It looks like it's actually made from small glass gems inside. Certainly not diamonds, unfortunately. And it was worn either on a dress or on a shoe, is what it says here. It dates from about, well, between 1780 and 1820 it's got here. So that's definitely the oldest thing that we found. Again, not particularly valuable. So definitely older. It's definitely older than the actual property. So this house was built in 1890. So it dates almost 100 years prior to that. So this was certainly something that was passed on through generations. I think this one I'm going to have to blend out. Because we've got an old newspaper. It's actually the Sun. Try and make that work. Actually the Sun from Wednesday, November 13th, 1991. So not crazy old, but it's quite a blast from the past. There's the price. Still going strong. Gary Lineker last night turned on his England critics. So he said, "You won't get rid of me." There we go. Certainly don't believe that it will be my last game for England. So that's everything from the haul so far. If we do find anything additional, which is worth doing another video on, then we'll certainly do so. Let us know what you think the most interesting thing is in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.